Episode of Disney 101. What is going on out there, guys? It's your boy Tommy on the spot, rolling again with my main man, Steve. Steve, how are you doing today? And I guess more importantly, have you been able to survive Hurricane Dorian?
Yes, we have. Here in Central Florida, we didn't really get anything at all. Luckily it turned uh, very sharply. Once I was devastated the Bahamas and everything, but we luckily got a break for once. And so we really, we got a little bit of wind and rain. It was a lot more mild than most of our thunderstorms that we have during the summer. So, most of us barely felt anything.
Well, that is really good, and we had the look. We were on the lookout because we just came back from Puerto Rico, which was, of course, Puerto Rico was supposed to be one of the major places where Hurricane Dorian was really going to hit, and we flew in like legit right when it was supposed to hit too. So, one of our Uber drivers that weekend had said that if this was the hurricane prior, the big one that hit Puerto Rico years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That we would have been down in Puerto Rico for months. But thankfully, we were able to, because he said like there's nowhere anyone could fly for literally months. Everything was destroyed. So
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, and that's the problem when you're on an island like that. It's a similar thing with the Bahamas. I heard the airport on the Grand Bahama is just a debris field. Like there's no way that you're going to be able to get anywhere aside from ships. Which luckily I've heard a lot of the cruise ships, of course, the Disney Cruise Line. Ship included, they've been really good about, they've pledged money, but more importantly, they've been using their ships as supply runs almost. So a lot of the cruise lines that service the Bahamas have been using their ships either to bring supplies to and from the islands, or also people that need to be evacuated. So that's really good, at least.
Absolutely, yeah, no, it definitely is, and it's a situation where. I'm glad that you guys were okay, because when we were coming back, we saw all of the stuff was kind of you guys, the flights were still going into Orlando, but the flights were all canceled to Fort Lauderdale. So we were like, oh man, this was going to be kind of where, this was going to be rough. But thankfully, you guys ended up doing okay. And I guess, folks here know that you're in the school system down there. Were you guys closed at all?
We were actually. Originally, we were just closed Tuesday, but because it turned out to kind of stall a little bit longer than I guess they thought it was going to, they also decided to close us on Wednesday. So between the holiday weekends, we actually ended up getting a 5-day weekend. So we were
there
off until, and then when we came back, we only had Thursday and Friday of school. It wasn't the best for us personally because the Thursday before, so a little over a week ago, our AC died on us.
No.
Yeah. So our air conditioner unit, the whole unit just there was I think whatever it was that went wrong. Basically, they said that at this point, because the unit is over like 16 years old, which is very old for an HVAC unit apparently. It's the original one from the house. So they were like, you know what, for the amount of money that it's going to take to fix this thing and get it up and running, you need a new unit. And we're like, okay, that sounds fine. We kind of knew that this was going to be happening for a little while, so we were ready for it. But then they were like, oh, and we can install it tomorrow. Perfect. Okay, great. Because that was Thursday, so they came out Friday, so they were going to set everything up on Saturday. But then they called us back and we're like, hey, so because of this hurricane that's coming through, everything is closed, like the manufacturer is closed and everything else, so we're not going to be able to do it until, the hurricane passes. So we didn't actually get everything installed until Thursday.
Apologies for the language.
Like 2 days ago. So we've been without air conditioning for a week, and it was, if it would have been where we would have been going to work and everything like that, it would have been fine. But we were kind of attempting to hunker down for this hurricane, so it wasn't a very pleasant experience.
Yeah, that is tough. And did you guys do the whole board deal where you throw the boards up on the windows and everything?
No, most of the time we don't really need to. If you're, because, part of where we are, even in Central Florida, we're kind of on a higher elevation than most places. So the good news is we don't have to deal with flooding, and we don't have to deal with a lot of stuff that, if you're somewhere on like the beach line, they do that a little bit more. We don't really need to do that as much, thankfully.
That's good. Well, that's good at least. And I'm glad you guys are okay. Did the parks close at all, or were they all open?
They closed early, I think on Tuesday. I think everything closed at, the idea was everything's going to close at 3. And then when they kind of saw that it was turning away from us, Epcot and Disney Springs actually extended until 6 that night because they're the two main places where you can kind of get food because a lot of other restaurants and a lot of local places closed. So they were like, oh, well, if we know that we have these people already out, we can kind of extend the cast members there and kind of give a little bit more service to the community, which was a good thing.
That's really
Had it not been, the good news was kind of that, again, it turned. So we really did not see anything out of the ordinary. Like I said, we've had thunderstorms, the regular, daily occurrences that have come through that have been worse than what we got.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, I always wonder, like, what do the parks do if, like, I guess if you've bought tickets, they refund you if they have to close?
Well, I think, it's kind of a case by case basis because most of the time it's more if you have like a dining reservation or something else that you had to pay for in advance, they're going to say, okay, yeah, like we'll refund you. We won't do any sort of, penalty for canceling or anything like that. No problem.
Sure.
With park tickets, it's a little bit different because if you bought it as part of a package, that's up to the resort to kind of say, well, you're still here. You could have gone to the parks other days. You can still go to the parks.
Yeah.
Where if there was like a Halloween party that night that got canceled or something like that, and then they're going to offer you a ticket to a different day.
Okay.
That's kind of the first response. The first response is going to be, we're not going to give you your money back. We're going to give you another option. But then if you kind of push and hem and haw and you're like, well, we're not really going to do it, or, whatever the case is, then, most of the time Disney is going to give you your money back. If it's something out of control, out of hands, where there's a closure or inclement weather or something like that, usually they're okay with it. Inclement weather is kind of a hit or miss thing.
Right. Yeah, I wonder, like, so if you're staying on property, they're not going to kick you out.
No, absolutely not. No. As a matter of fact, a lot of times there are what we call ride-out crews, where cast members, basically any Disney cast member, if you're working for the company, can be part of a ride-out crew, and they send you to a resort, and basically you're just an extra pair of hands for if they need help, doing anything really, depending on what your other job is. So we had, at Disney Vacation Club, we had a lot of cast members being sent to the Disney Vacation Club resorts in case members needed any extra help, doing anything, or, if the resort itself just needed an extra body for whatever reason. And the thing is, you're kind of on call 24 hours. So those paychecks are always really nice.
There you go.
Because, you're basically on the clock the whole time that you're there as part of a ride-out crew. So it's nice.
There you go. Yeah, that's actually not bad. And you know what? It would almost be like, if you're going to be stuck somewhere, what better place to be stuck than a Disney resort? Are the restaurants still open?
It depends, because some of the restaurants are not attached to the hotel rooms because, they don't want you going outside at all most of the time. But a place like the Grand Floridian or like the Polynesian, where the restaurants and everything are kind of isolated from the actual hotel rooms, maybe not, but in a case like the Contemporary, where you have all the hotel rooms basically that are connected to each other and connected to that main lobby where the restaurants are and everything, those are probably still up and running.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, we hope that all of you guys are, if anyone has been dealing with the hurricane, we hope you guys are doing well, have recovered nicely, and that haven't dealt with very much damage, because hurricanes can cause a lot of damage. So I'm glad. I hope everyone's okay and everyone's safe.
Indeed.
So now to kind of shift gears here. So we had kind of actually, Steve, could you just scoot your camera just a little bit? The other way. To get a little more center. There you go. Steve's going to go ahead and do that. All right, better. All right. So a couple weeks ago, when we did our show, we talked about how we were excited about the idea that Disney was bringing back the Gridiron Grill? Something like that.
So the actual event is called Tailgate Tasting.
Tailgate Tasting. There you go.
Yes. The Gridiron Grub is kind of one of those I mean, the only area where I see Gridiron Grub is under the details of the event on the Disney website.
Got
So it's more of just like a heading. It's more, but the
yeah.
actual name of the event is the Tailgate Tasting, hosted by ESPN's Monday Night Football.
Right. So if you guys remember last year, we had actually broke this down for you guys. It's one of the really cool things as football fans that we are really that I think I definitely just it sounds like the coolest thing in the world. It's something they did last year for Monday Night Football every single week at the parks in Epcot. And basically what it is, and last year we broke down the menus for this. Every week they give you a tasting menu where you get three like small portion drinks and three little tastings of like something that would normally be served at a tailgate from the cities of the teams that are playing on that Monday Night Football. This year, even though it's brought to you by Monday Night Football, because really it has to be, because it's, Monday Night Football takes place on ESPN, which is owned by Disney. The games themselves, the events themselves rather, will actually be taking place on Sunday. Is that right, Steve?
Yes. So it's kind of weird because so it's in the World Showplace again, that area that's kind of a lot of times just kind of gated off. That's in between Canada and the United Kingdom.
Sure.
And it's every Sunday from this Sunday, September 8th to November 17th. The price is $19 per person plus tax. Of course, that is above and beyond your normal Epcot entrance fee that is required, but not included. The funny thing is that although, like we said, it is on a Sunday, which is your traditional football day, because it's presented by Monday Night Football, all of the dishes are centered around the Monday night game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're still centered around some of the Monday night games. So, for example, this Sunday, it's centered around the Broncos versus the Raiders.
Oh, okay. And that could be fun because there's a lot of really cool things in Denver. Really good different types of like craft brews. I know in Colorado, obviously the home of the rock. What is the Coors Light is right from there.
Coors Light, yeah. There's I think Anheuser-Busch is probably not too far away.
Right.
In Milwaukee.
Yeah, but I think the difference this year, if I'm not mistaken, last year, if you got there early enough and you got a ticket, you had to get there real early to get a wristband, and then that got you into the tailgate tasting. This year, they're charging you. I think it's $19 per person. You get there
Correct,
early.
$19, and in 45 minutes, you'll enjoy a flight of 3 sample-sized food items served with a complimentary beverage tasting, inspired by the cities playing in the Monday night game each week.
Yeah, the only thing that's weird is that because it's taking place on a Sunday, it does make more logistic sense for it to be on a Sunday. There's probably a lot more people that can go on a Sunday. Going on Monday would really just limit it to the vacationers, and I'm sure one of the reasons they moved it to Sunday is probably they didn't have the biggest of turnouts for this. But by bringing it up on Sunday, it's great. The only problem is there's nowhere that I don't think they're watching football. I think you're just there with kind of the chef who's kind of putting all this stuff together.
You are there, so you are going to be the cool thing is that you also do get to figure out how to make it at home. So that's kind of cool. Really and there are TVs all around. I'm sure they might be showing some football game at some point, Yeah.
But, are you thinking you're going to go at all to any of these?
We might check one out. So there is one coming up in a couple of weeks. That is the 22nd, where it's the Bears and the Redskins.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh man, you get some deep dish pizza there,
or like some Chicago hot dogs or something, or some traditional Washington D.C. food.
There you go,
like some crab cakes or something. I don't know.
So, do you have the schedule actually in front of you?
I do.
All right. So I guess we could break that down for everyone.
So
tomorrow is the first one, and it's going to be you said the Broncos and the Raiders.
Correct. The Antonio Brownless Raiders.
That's right. What a guy. What a mess that's been, man. Unbelievable.
But yeah, so then the week after is going to be the Browns against your New York Jets.
Unbelievable. It's going to be a great game. Very nervous about it, but it is the game, and we'll get to it when we do our NFL preview. But that is the game that if you go and try to get Jets tickets, you can get tickets for pretty affordable for pretty much every single game that's coming to MetLife, except for the Giants game, which comes around once every 4 years, and obviously the Browns. That's the greatest. It's the team everyone's really excited about this year.
Yeah, it's funny. And then the week after that is the Bears and Redskins.
There you go.
Week after, on September 29th, is the Bengals against the Steelers.
Okay, not a great game by any stretch, but a division game, but also a game that you probably get some good, food that you typically find in Pittsburgh, and that's cool.
And which would be what?
I don't know.
Oh, I hear that Cincinnati is the chili capital of the world. So,
there you go. All right.
So maybe some nice chili from Cleveland. Week after that is going to be the Browns again. And the San Francisco 49ers.
They're against the 49ers then?
Yeah.
There you go.
And then after that is going to be Detroit Lions against the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, now that tons of cheese there for that, and I'm sure Detroit also has a lot of good little food there, so that one's fun.
That's a good rivalry game, so that's good.
Yeah.
And then speaking of which, the one after that is going to be October 20th, and the New England Patriots against the New York Jets.
So that one I don't know if it's on Monday Night Football, so that's weird because I think the Jets are playing the Pats on Thursday night. I can check that out real quick though. But that's a fun game. That'll be fun to go on there 2 times around where it's going to be the Jets. That game centered around the New York Jets. Hopefully by that point they'll still be alive and thriving as opposed to many past seasons when that is. Yeah,
but anytime you're going up against a rival, especially when it's the Patriots, I feel like it's still, you got to play hard, right?
Yeah, you know what? You are 100% correct. They are on Monday Night Football 2 times. The Jets.
All right.
Jets on prime time, baby. 2 times this year. Very interesting stuff.
They're not the only ones because after that week, October 27th, is the Miami Dolphins against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Couldn't pay me enough. Could not pay me enough to watch that game. I mean, why is that game? Who thought that was going to be a good game to begin with? Though, I mean, hey, at Miami, people probably excited about it. You guys are kind of close. Is that like technically the team in Orlando, or is it probably more Tampa?
Tampa, yeah. Tampa, the Buccaneers would probably be our closest team, yeah. Miami is like 8 hours away.
Yeah, I guess then.
But the thing is, with a lot of these, you're trying to think of what the food is going to be like more than the game, considering you're not going to be watching the game anyway.
That is true.
At the time. So I would be, maybe with Miami, or maybe they'll be cooking up some Cuban food, or like a Cuban sandwich or something. So that would be down to check that one out.
That is true.
And then the next one would be a decent one. It's November 3rd, the Cowboys against the Giants.
Oh, that's a good one. That is really good.
That would be another one. I think in food-wise, that would probably be a solid one.
Yeah. A lot of New York-style pizza and a lot of barbecue.
Some good Texas barbecue or something like that.
Yeah, that could be fun. That'd be a good one.
November 10th, after that, is going to be the Seahawks against the Niners.
Great game. Great rivalry game, too.
Yeah, and again, 49ers on it in I think that's the 3rd team now that's on Monday Night Football for 3 weeks. That may or may not be deserving of it, but
what's that?
That may or may not be deserving of it.
Right, probably not, but you never know. A lot of people high on Jimmy G.
Yeah, I guess.
Indeed, I'm not one of them.
And then last one, but not least, November 17th, rounding it out, the Chiefs against the Chargers.
Okay. Excuse me. Chiefs against Chargers. That's a great game. That could be like big time positioning game. Now they end early though, so that's like middle of November, that game, right?
Yeah. It's November 17th, so the week before Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. Well, that's cool. Hey, you know what? And it's fun. It's good that they do that. I didn't realize you get to figure out how to make that stuff at home. That's huge.
Yeah, it's really cool, and especially for some of these, I'd be some more than others because, again, like we were kind of saying, there are certain regions that kind of going in probably what you're going to be looking at, especially like looking at Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to probably be looking at some solid barbecue.
Yeah.
LA and New York, there's a lot of eclectic things. I'm not sure if there's any particular food that LA is necessarily known for, but I know that they have a lot of interesting food coming out of, California for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like those Niners games, they could kind of do something cool where, and obviously you need to be 21 and older and make sure you bring your ID. but the stuff for the drinks, like they could do some fun like wines from Napa Valley and different things like that.
That's true. Yeah.
That could be fun. But it sounds like a great time. It's something totally where, like, if you are local, it's a great thing to do. Be like a great way to spend your football Sunday, I feel like.
Well, and the good thing is that it's only it's 45 minutes, which is kind of about what the other tastings are, because, one of the good things about the Food and Wine Festival are these kind of, culinary, demonstrations and seminars and that kind of thing. So I think what they're kind of doing is kind of bringing it a little bit more into the fold of that, because last year it was on Monday night. And it wasn't, I don't even think it was at Epcot last year. I think it was actually at the ESPN, or I might be mistaken.
I think it was Epcot, because you had to get to the park early to get the wristband.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It might have been at the ESPN, because I think part of it was you watched the game after.
Yeah. So, I know we did. I know we talked about it last year.
Yeah.
I don't remember where it was, but in any event, this is.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is making it a little bit more inclusive and kind of bringing it into the fold a little bit more.
Yeah.
And making it more of just a football themed culinary demonstration. And just, because it happens to be a good kind of crossover. Yeah. And if you're going to pick a team, you might as well pick the team the Monday Night Football game is going to be on. So it's a good way of kind of not playing favorites, and also, still bringing it and having those, different themes on.
We'll say they blew it, though, because they should have done tomorrow night's game. They should have done it based on the Texans and the Saints. A lot of good things they could have done with New Orleans.
That's true. I mean, yeah, it's kind of, some of these, like I said, are kind of going to be hit or miss depending on what teams are actually playing. Not the caliber of the teams necessarily,
right?
But like there are some, like I was starting to say, like Kansas City, probably some solid barbecue. I don't necessarily know what kind of food they, above like your kind of normal stuff, what kind of food is going to be in Pittsburgh, what kind of food is coming out of Cleveland. I don't personally know a lot of that. And I think there are some regions, like you said, like New Orleans, that would be a huge draw as far as the food that you're going to be making.
Yeah, for sure.
Texans and Saints, that would be really cool as far as the food. Or if like Philadelphia, learn how to make your own cheesesteak kind of thing.
Yes.
Or Buffalo Bills, make some wings, that kind of thing. So I think some of them are kind of going to be better or worse depending on what food you actually end up, partaking in and learning how to make.
They should really do like $100 gets you a season pass.
You could do that, yeah. I mean, that
would be cool, because then I feel like the draw there, as you're saying, it's much more about the food, especially because like you guys enjoy cooking a lot. So for you guys, you can go get those recipes and make those things all the time. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, especially with us annual pass holders, they're encouraging you to come back in a couple of different ways anyway. So. Like I don't know if you've heard, but last year they did, if you're an annual pass holder and you go to Food and Wine Festival 4 different times, you get a little like food and wine cheese cutting board.
Really?
Yeah, just like a free thing. But that didn't necessarily go over too well. So this year, it's if you go 4 times, you get like a coaster set, like a 4-coaster set.
That is neat. Are you going to go 4 times?
I've gone once already.
Yeah.
I was actually planning on going again today, but the plans kind of weren't there. So we're at least probably going to go back at least 1 or 2 times. I don't know if at that point you might as well make it 4, but we'll see.
I mean, because especially that 4th time, you could always just walk in and turn around and leave. If worst comes to worst, just get the the people who go to like your New York Mets games when they give the bobbleheads away, and they go in, they get their ticket scanned, they grab the bobblehead, they about face, and go right out. Yeah. I mean, it's already, it's not like you have to pay anything. How do they tell if you've been there 4 times? Is it like on your?
I think we didn't really go investigating when we went, but I think it's just on your Magic Band, or when you scan your tickets, they can see the history of when you've been into the park and that kind of thing. So It's probably based on that.
That's a really cool deal, though. That's and I'm sure they're like, the coasters are probably like Disney themed too.
Yeah, I think they're specific to Food and Wine Festival. So I think one has like the Food and Wine Mickey, one has Minnie, and one probably has Figment on it, and then maybe one another one. Ratatouille. Remy is kind of a big deal this year. So
That's really cool. Yeah, Remy is. I know that, at some point we'll have to do a little bit of a food and wine preview, because I know there's a lot of really cool stuff, specifically that Remy they're doing like a scavenger hunt for Remy.
yeah, they've done a scavenger hunt the last couple of years, and then also they're doing a kind of like a cheese crawl.
No way. Really?
It's called the fromage montage.
That sounds awesome.
So yeah, depending on, I think there's 5 or 6 different booths that are serving like a signature cheese dish. And if you go to all of those, you get a special stamp, and then you go to the last booth, and then you get a free cheesecake or a complimentary cheesecake.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. Well, that sounds like fun. I feel like Food and Wine's always a good time, and I think it's Disney's way almost of being like, this is something extra to come to the park, another reason to get you to come to the park, kind of as you said.
Oh, especially right now. And, when they're gearing up a lot and when a lot of stuff at Epcot is in that transition period of there's a lot of really, really, really cool stuff coming in the next year or two. So just kind of be patient. And in the meantime, there's Food and Wine Festival, which has always been a huge draw. That's why they came up with Flower and Garden Festival. And that's why they came up with the Festival of the Arts.
Right.
And the Festival of the Holidays and all of these different things. So it was on the back of the success of Food and Wine Festival. So it's always been a big hit.
That's awesome. Yeah, sounds really cool. All right, well, definitely, if you guys go to the Gridiron Grub or the Tailgate Tasting at all, please let us know. Let us know in the comment section below. Hit us up on Twitter at Disney101pod. It's something I find to be really fun, especially because of the fact that we don't know what the menu is this year. So it's something where I'm really curious about that. I'm going to try to do my due diligence each week and try to figure out what was served so that I could discuss it on the show. Hopefully I'll be able to find it. Hopefully someone's going to the Tailgate Tasting.
Hopefully. Because, this is kind of one of those things where I'd like to see it kind of develop, and maybe a year or two down the line, they'll kind of maybe make some other sort of changes or, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'd really like to kind of see this keep going.
Yeah, I enjoy it too. It's a really cool deal, and it actually leads to our transition now. So, I'll look here on the to see the timestamp here, because for the remainder of the show, like we said, we are going to kind of divvy and transition over to our NFL previews for the year. If you guys are not interested in football at all, probably a good time to, mute us. Don't sign out. Just mute us and then kind of go from there.
Or keep watching, because you might learn something. Who knows?
It's true. Absolutely. And it'll be a fun, free-flowing conversation anyway. So I think what we're going to do here, so Steve, have you prepared for this? Do you already have your Super Bowl pick? Do you know who you're going to be picking to win each division and everything to that extent?
I think I have a fairly good idea of divisions. I have 1 or 2 wild card picks in mind as well. And
sure.
I think, based on all of that and kind of what I'm looking at, I think I might have a prediction. So we'll kind of see, and we'll take a look.
Cool. All right. Well, let's start us off here. We'll start with kind of my home base, the AFC East. Your defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets, and the tanking for Tua Miami Dolphins. Steve, where do you see this division going? And do you have any wild card teams coming out of this division?
So I see the Patriots winning. They kind of have the luxury of playing in this division that, unfortunately, for the past few years has kind of been mediocre at best. So I don't see anything happening to cause the Patriots to lose that spot. But I could see maybe the Jets pulling off a wild card spot based on, they're kind of moving in the right direction. And also the rest of the AFC kind of, I feel is more or less locked in. Maybe 1 or 2 other spots up for grabs, but
yeah, it's funny. I just have the Jets schedule up, so I'm going to pull it up again. I would love to come on here and say that I think the Jets are going to make the playoffs. I think that they have some pieces in place. I feel like their offensive line isn't very good. Their cornerback situation is a disaster. I feel like this: if the Jets can find a way in their first 7 games to go 3-4, they're in the playoffs. However, these are their first 7 games. Tomorrow, home game against Buffalo, got to be a win. The week after that, Monday Night Football, home against the Browns, going to be a tough game. Week after that, they head to Foxborough, going to be a brutally tough game. Week after that, head to the Eagles, a team that I'm going to get to later. I think is really overrated. I'm not a Carson Wentz guy at all. I'm going to probably tick off every Philly fan who watches this, and I apologize, but I just feel like they made the wrong call. They should have went with Foles. The week after that, they're back home to host the Cowboys. Week after that, they're back home to host the Patriots. And then finally, their 7th game of that stretch, they're at Jacksonville, the new look Jags, who are going to be motivated with Nick Foles. It's a brutal. They could easily start that season 1-6. I mean, it could be right.
I see where they could pull out at least 3 wins there.
They have to. I feel like if they do that, the rest of their schedule is pretty much cake. They can definitely make the playoffs, but it's going to be they have to get 3 wins in that first 7 games. So
yeah, absolutely. It's I've always found that the key to making the playoffs is winning.
That's a good point. So, I take the Patriots to win this division. Unfortunately, it's at a point where I feel like they're not even our rivals as a Jet fan anymore. I know that sounds silly, but I feel like the teams that are more your mid-range teams are your kind of our rivals here. So Buffalo's a rival. Miami's going to be awful. They're going to be trusted. The one thing about this division is I'm not big on the Dolphins, and I'm definitely not big on the Dolphins. I'm not huge on the Bills, so it could be like this year. I think the Bills are okay, but I think they're a year or two away. So who knows? I think the Jets might sneak in. It's not a bad pick, but I'll go with just the Pats out of the East.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So were we going to go down the line and move on to the next one? Okay. Yeah. So next, looking at the AFC North, sure. I never thought that I would say this, but I think the Browns are a lock here.
Okay. And just so everyone knows, AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens.
Yep. Yeah. So So I mean, I think that the Bengals really aren't going anywhere. They haven't done anything in a few years. The Ravens also they're in rebuilding mode here again. With is it Tavares Jackson? Is that who their QB is still? Because I know they shipped off Flacco.
Oh no, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Okay, I knew it was Jackson. And the Steelers, with Big Ben kind of puffing along there, but they lost their big 2 weapons. They didn't have Bell last year anyway, and they lost Antonio Brown. So I mean, really, there is Big Ben's a big guy, and he could probably lift a lot, but I don't know if he can carry this team all the way into the playoffs at his age. Maybe 10 years ago, not a problem. But I really, based on both of those things, and based on how much I guess anticipation and how much just everything looks like it's going the Browns' way right now. So I think that being said, I think they run away with this division.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to say the Browns. I just I'm not ready to kick Pittsburgh to the curb yet. And I always feel like when there's that team, you remember years ago, there was the dream team, the Philadelphia Eagles. They had Vic, they had Vince Young, they had Sean Jackson, they had all these pieces. They were the team everyone was really hyped for, and they didn't do it. They didn't even make the playoffs. So I'm actually going to put the Browns on ice. I'm not buying into the Browns. I'm going to go with the Steelers. Bengals, I can't believe Andy Dalton is moving into year 9. Like, how have they not moved along with the Andy Dalton experiment at this point? Doesn't make any sense. He has as many playoff wins as Steve and I do. But and the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, I think he's good, but I do think they're a year or 2 away as well. So Steelers are my pick, and no wild card teams for me coming out of the South. I mean,
I think I honestly think maybe I don't want to say. I also kind of being in the kind of DC metro area. I have a little bit of I will pull for the Ravens if they're, if the Skins have been long gone and, if the Ravens make the playoffs and that kind of thing, I'll pull for them. And I always like to see them go and succeed. So I want to say that they're maybe a sleeper pick, but this year I don't see it.
Yeah. Well, moving along down to the AFC South, a division that now is wide open with the recent retirement of Andrew Luck. Your Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans, and Houston Texans. Steve, who do you see coming out of the South?
Again, like if the Jaguars were on pace to be really good a couple of years ago, and then last year it kind of fizzled. So I'm kind of on the fence. I'm going to go with my gut and say the Texans.
There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna pick for a division winner. I'm gonna go with the. I'm gonna go with It's tough. I'm putting the Texans and the Jaguars in the playoffs. I think one of them gets in as the wild card. One of them gets in as the division winner.
Okay.
I like your idea of the Texans. I think they've done really good with Deshaun under center, and I think they're going to be. They got a really good defense, even though they got rid of Clowney. I still like the Texans quite a bit. They brought in Tunsil, so I think that I'll go with the Texans, but right behind them in the playoffs this year with Nick Foles. And I'm not, we're a family show here, so I won't throw out that nickname to be inappropriate. But I'm going to put Nick Foles and the Jaguars back into the playoffs. Remember, as Steve said 2 years ago, this team was a quarter away from beating the Pats and going to the Super Bowl. So with Blake Bortles, and now they got Nick Foles won the Super Bowl that year. So who knows? That's my pick.
Yeah, and last but not least in the AFC, we got the AFC West, which of course is the Denver Broncos, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Oakland Raiders, and the LA Chargers. The only team that has really that I see going anywhere, and not just going anywhere, but making it all the way to the Super Bowl, is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I think there's two locks. I think it's the Chiefs, it's the Chargers. I think both of them are in. Chiefs for sure. I think will win the division. They're a popular pick to win the Super Bowl too, and I like that. I like your pick there. This is interesting for me though, because I was on the fence with my second wild card. I was like, I'm going to put the Jags in there, but they only barely beat the Broncos out because I'm actually really into the Joe Flacco reclamation project. I think he's going to do some stuff down in Denver. Oakland, you're a dumpster fire. Sorry, at least you have the Warriors. Starting it,
especially with everything that's going on.
Yeah,
it's sad to see, but
not good. Not good. At least again, you have these Golden State Warriors that come back soon.
There you go.
Well, yeah, the A's are going to make the playoffs. That's good. They'll probably make a wild card run, so that's good. But
yeah. There you go. I mean, a lot of times, it's probably a month into the NFL season, and I'm like, okay, when's hockey coming back? So
there you go. For me, so I'm going to go Chiefs there in the West to win the division. I'm putting the Chargers in as a wild card.
All right. So who is your Super Bowl team for the AFC then?
Good question. I'd love to go against the grain. I always do go against the grain. So I'm not going to put the Chiefs or the Patriots in there. Those are your two. Okay. Those are your two top teams, but coming out of the AFC for me this year, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think Chargers got a shot. I think last year they were close. Phil Rivers, obviously, he's a favorite of mine. So I think that I'm going to go with the Chargers. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Texans do it either, though. They're a team that's always kind of on the precipice, and if Deshaun could stay healthy, I think they got a shot as well.
So then do you think that with the Chargers, if the Chargers go to the Super Bowl and win, is Philip Rivers retiring?
No, I don't think he'll retire. He'll definitely be in the Hall of Fame if that's the case. I think that's his one thing that's eluding him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's a great quarterback. I've wanted him to get that chance. I don't know if he'll retire. He's probably up there. He's getting up there, but I feel like they build that entire team around him. They have so much faith in him that Melvin Gordon is holding out, and I feel like they don't even care. They're like, hold out, fine. So they're going to be I think they got a great defense. They got some good playmakers, and Phil Rivers, I feel like he's always gives you a chance to win.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move over to the NFC. And do you want to start with your favorite hometown team division there?
Favorite, yeah, absolutely. So we got the NFC East featuring the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, and of course the Washington Redskins.
Right.
And this is the part where I would love to say this is the Redskins' year, because there are some teams that you say that every year. You got the New York Mets, you got the Jets too a lot of times, the Nationals. Every year you say this is our year, and the Redskins are one of those teams where it's like, no, we have the right pieces now. We got a defense that the defense can be something special, and we got this. Our quarterback situation is finally kind of stable, and no, it's not, and all of these other reasons why. I'd love to pick them, but not picking that means that I have to pick one of the other three teams, which none of them I like at all in the least bit. And I think the one that I hate the most is probably the one that's probably going to win in the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, so a couple of things with me here. I love Case Keenum. Case Keenum was a quarter away from the Super Bowl with the Vikings team that Kirk Cousins couldn't get to the playoffs. But the Redskins' schedule is brutal. I mean, absolutely brutal. So I can't pick them. I'd love to pick them. As Steve said, they've almost, the hashtag Hail to the Redskins. They've become my my NFC team, but I don't see it this year for them. Not a Carson Wentz guy at all. So I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys to win the division, and my completely insane Cinderella story, I am taking the New York Giants as a wild card team. I am going to pick Eli Manning. I know people think he's the worst quarterback in the league. I think this is his last shot. I think he's on a man on a mission. The team doesn't have much. They have not much personnel, but their schedule is so freaking easy. If they could find a way to get a win in Dallas, and it's going to be really tough, they're touchdown underdogs. If they could find a way to get a Dallas Cowboys, if they could beat the Cowboys in Dallas, I love the Giants to make the playoffs. The first 5 games are easy. I could actually see them going into Foxborough for that Super Bowl rematch at either 4-1 or, dare I say it, 5-0. Yeah, I think the Giants' schedule is just real easy, so I think it plays to them. And I'd love to see Eli do it. I'm going to root hard for Eli. I don't like the Giants at all. I think their fan base, we don't want anyone to turn us off. I'm not a fan of the Giant fan base either because they've gotten everything. As a Jet fan, how can I root for you guys? You've gotten 1 million Super Bowls. We haven't gotten anything since I've been alive. So, we have more playoff wins of anyone who's not made it to a Super Bowl do the Jets. So, it's ridiculous. But that being said, I think Giants will make the playoffs. I think it's going to be a fun year for them.
I think it's weird because a lot of times the Giants either go the distance and they make it to the Super Bowl, and if it's against the Pats they win, or they halfway through the season they fold like a bad souffle.
Yeah, sure.
So it's either one or the other, and I think this year might be one of those folding, collapsing years. Unfortunately, they might start off strong like you said, but I think halfway through the season, it's going to be they'll at least be third, if not at the bottom.
And those games that I'm picking, those first 5 games, no doubt, those teams were looking at the Giants as a team like, whoo, at least we got to win there. So,
And those are kind of trap games sometimes. And the Giants might say, you know what, bring on all of the trap games you want.
Yeah.
But so moving on, we got the NFC North next. With the first place Green Bay Packers.
There you go. Big win for me on Thursday night. I picked it up. It was great time. So, yeah.
And such an exciting game, wasn't it?
No. It wasn't. The only thing that was exciting was we were at Buffalo Wild Wings. They do something that when it's 2 minutes left in the first half, they do a deal where the owner comes around with a little megaphone and he goes, "It's the 2-minute warning." And like someone's behind him and they've got the red siren deal that he's holding and they give out $2 Fireball whiskey and JMO shots. So shots, but it was funny nonetheless.
Yeah. So there's the Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, and the Chicago Bears.
So this division for me, I think the Lions, they're kind of in the same boat as the Bengals. I feel like love Stafford, but he's just not gotten it done. He doesn't have any playoff wins. I don't see it coming. I don't see them getting in there. Vikings, I'm not big on Kirk Cousins. I feel like he folded like a bag of what did he say? A bag of potato chips.
I said folded, collapsed like a bad souffle.
There you go. Yes, you could use that here for Kirk too last year. And I'm not big on the Bears at all. Like I was stunned to see them as the favorite in that game. So I'm going to take the Packers. I think they'll nice bounce back. Got a new coach. Like LaFleur and like their defense on Thursday. I think they'll have a good year. So Packers my pick.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to have to go with the same also just because, although Aaron Rodgers is good enough there, and I think, the injuries that he's had the past couple of seasons have kind of been taking their toll.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't necessarily know how much he's got left in the tank. And with the Vikings, that Kirk Cousins, man, he has been the same exact quarterback going back to college, going back to Michigan State. He has been I'm going to pull up ridiculous numbers. I'm going to be an all-star Hall of Fame looking quarterback, or I'm going to throw 3 picks before halftime. There's no in between with him, and you can't rely on that. You can't have a game manager quarterback. he's not that guy. He is either the um I'm putting up ridiculous Hall of Fame stats, or I'm absolutely, the DS, as I don't want to actually say it out, but a phrase that you're fond of saying.
Yeah. What is it's a
The
DS?
drizzling-ish.
Ah, gotcha. Yep. The drizzling stuff, if you will.
Yeah. So, and again, like we were saying with the Lions, I don't know. The Bears are the only ones that I could see, with some of the things that they kind of have going on for them, could kind of see righting the ship. It's only one game, I could see them kind of righting that ship and being a threat, but I see the Packers going all the way with this one.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, I could definitely see the Bears getting in as a wild card. It's just I kind of already have my wild card picks here. I'm just kind of pulling up their schedules, getting ready for them. So, all right. So there you go. So I have one more wild card pick, and it's coming out of the next division, the NFC South. You're looking for retribution this year. The New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, and your hometown, or close to it, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who do you got coming out of the NFC South?
I have the Saints winning it. I also, looking at everything, I have the Saints, like you said, out for redemption. I think they're going to play hard, and I think they're going to play hard into the playoffs and make it to the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs.
There you go. I am putting the Saints in as a wild card team, because I think this sounds insane, but I do think the Falcons are going to have a really big year. They had a really big hangover from that Super Bowl collapse. That's behind them now. Julio Jones just got paid. He's healthy. I'm expecting big things from the Falcons this year, and especially when you look at their schedule, they are in a dome for a lot of games. They don't even go outdoors for like half of it, and Matt Ryan in a dome is money in the bank. So I would not be shocked to see the Falcons go on a big run here, be maybe one of those final undefeated type teams, and they're my pick to defeat the Chargers in the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could definitely see the Falcons getting in at the very least as a wild card, and maybe making some noise out in the playoffs. I just don't know how sustainable it is.
Yeah.
Like you said, if they play that first playoff game, if they have to go out and they go into the dome, or they go anywhere else, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
So I see them winning. I see them being a strong team. I don't see anything stopping them necessarily. So, but with the Saints just being that, the monster of their offense, and having a defense that you don't have, that, you got to think about twice at least.
Yeah.
I think, they're pretty much in there.
I'm with you. I mean, my other point with the Saints is, at some point, I mean, like Brady, everyone's talking about playing till 45. Breeze isn't that far behind him. At some point, this should catch up with him. So, but I do think they'll both definitely get in. I think it could be one way or the other, but just feels like a year where I feel like someone completely different's coming out of it, and I like the Falcons.
All right.
Our last division,
the NFC West, which has the LA Rams, the Arizona Cardinals, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks.
Where do you see this one going?
I see it going the only way that it can, with the Rams.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd love to put the Seahawks in there, but I just don't have enough space with my Giants pick. I think Seahawks are going to be a lot better. Seahawks were a playoff team last year too, and I think even got a win over Dallas. So they were one of the final four teams, or unless Dallas beat them. Might be wrong on that, but
I don't remember, because I remember watching that game and just hoping for a Dark Knight style collapse of the stadium. And because those are probably the Seahawks are probably my least favorite team outside of the NFC East.
Wow.
And I would say even over the Patriots.
A lot of hate for the Seahawks.
It's probably mostly because the past couple of years that the Redskins have actually made it to the playoffs, they've gotten knocked out by the Seahawks.
Good call. Especially the RG3 game too.
Especially that game, yeah, and that was the I know most of their trash talkers are long gone, but with Sherman and a few others, but I really, really dislike trash talkers, and when that's all of your game, and when they fail miserably, that's my sweetest thing ever. So, that kind of just has stuck, and the Seahawks have kind of just stuck as being one of my least favorite teams.
Well, there you go. So I guess our Super Bowl picks. You're taking the Chiefs over the Saints.
I think. Well, I
Or
think
over the Chiefs.
I think I'm gonna go Chiefs. Yeah, I'm going Chiefs over Saints.
Okay, I like it. I like it. And I am going Falcons over Chargers.
Okay.
Of course, I'll be wrong. But at least I'm throwing one out there. I'm throwing a Hail Mary with my Super Bowl prediction. I would love to know your Super Bowl predictions. Please let us know in the comments section below. It is something where I think it's a really exciting time of the year. As Steve said about the trash talkers, I can't help but think about some of my favorite quarterbacks: Case Keenum, Phil Rivers. Phil Rivers is a huge trash talker. Ryan Fitzpatrick, another classy guy. I love Baker Mayfield, despite him being a trash. That feels like Baker Mayfield's not on your list of people you probably enjoy.
No.
but
it's one thing if you can trash talk and back it up.
Right.
Like Michael Jordan was a notorious trash talker.
Right.
But Michael Jordan, like the best player ever in the NBA. Richard Sherman, yes, he was good, but he was not, I don't see him in the lead in the conversation of best defensive players.
I mean, he definitely. I mean, at least he won a couple. He won at least one Super Bowl. Should have won two, if not for the decision to throw the ball on the 1 yard line against the Packers.
That was one of the sweet. Even though it was against the Patriots, it was one of the sweetest moments ever.
I leaped for joy as my father sat there, completely bewildered why I was so excited to pump up win another one. But I'm with you 100%. Those few years where it was Niners and Seahawks on the NFC side of things, it was brutal, like hard, impossible to really even enjoy. And it's just that I feel like the NFC West, like the Rams in the Super Bowl last year, brutal, completely unwatchable. I don't even dislike the Rams, but like they weren't even competitive. It was a really boring Super Bowl. So,
what would have made it better? The Saints.
I agree, and they should have been there. That would have been an epic Super Bowl. Breeze and Brady going back and forth. That would have been a lot of fun, and instead we were kind of like there with the Rams. But who knows? It's an exciting time. I'm just hoping that we can get to Thanksgiving and still have both of our teams at least like with a snowball's chance of getting in. Like last year, it was like the Redskins. I mean, I missed a call from them. They were calling me in to be quarterback of how bad it got. They legitimately. I'm not even joking. Like I would throw this out as a joke. They legitimately had Mark Sanchez start a game for them. And I love Mark Sanchez, and I was so pumped up, but he did terrible. And so but they were there until the last week because of how great Alex Smith was for them. Is he not? He's not a factor at all this year.
Not at all. Yeah, no, not at all. And
is he back, though?
I think time will tell. I think how this year goes for him, in his rehab and everything. We'll see how much he has left and see it. But I personally would not fault him in the least bit of kind of pulling an Andrew Luck at this point and just saying, you know what, I'm going to walk away while I can, because literally he almost could not walk. Complications from this injury.
Yeah, they thought he might have like died from that.
Yeah, he almost. Yeah, so when your life is on the line because of it, now it was complications because of everything, but even still, like, at that point you got to kind of say, what is more important to me right now? And, I think at this point, maybe kind of have that conversation. And I would not fault him in the slightest bit of walking away, especially with what we have, coming up.
Yeah, I mean, because you guys right now, it's all about Haskins. This is really just kind of a 1 year holdover until he's ready to be their quarterback, right?
Yeah, and I'm completely okay with that too. A lot of people are like, oh, he's ready, like throw him in there. And it's like, have you not learned your lesson from RG3? Have you not learned your lesson from all these other quarterbacks that you throw in there unprepared, sight unseen, just because he looked okay in preseason and in training camp and stuff, and then get him demolished? Like, let's, if we can, and if everybody else is doing okay, sit him, let him watch, let him learn, let him, do his time and everything, and give him the Aaron Rodgers treatment. And then, a couple of years from now, hopefully he'll be our guy for the foreseeable future.
I'm with you.
And because of that, you kind of got to say, okay, let's hedge our bets here and say, he's our guy. Let's take our time with him and get this one right.
Absolutely. And I think it's a situation too where you don't want it, like the Giants fans, right? As much as I love them, the Giants fans right now. So Mark Sanchez is a household name in my house. He is a guy who I love immensely. I put him up on a major pedestal because he got us to 2 AFC championship games. Like, that's huge for the Jets. We don't ever get to the AFC championship game. So for Mark Sanchez to get us there twice, he is held at like the absolute upper echelon of quarterbacks. Giants fans, not only did Eli Manning get you 2 Super Bowls, the guy's been an MVP of a Super Bowl. He's one of only 5 players to win 2 Super Bowl MVPs. So it's a situation where it's like he's there and they're ready to kick him out the door and give the job to this Daniel Jones just because he had a couple of good series during preseason. I don't get it, and I think the Redskins' approach is the much better one.
Well, yeah, and they have similar philosophies in, what have you done for me lately, and win now. And right. The thing is that, and going back with the Redskins and their owner, he is a very win now person. He doesn't understand what it takes to build a team.
No,
you can't throw a bunch of different pieces at something and hope that, and just expect that your coaches and expect that everybody around you is going to build something from the pieces that you gave him. They're all not going to fit, and they could be from different sets. And so you have something that they say, okay, we're going to do our best and we're going to build with what you give us. And, it doesn't turn into anything that looks or resembles a team. But I think the past couple of years, he's kind of had a little bit more of a hands-off approach. And they've been a little bit able to kind of make the moves that they want to. But I think Gruden is kind of, once again, kind of on the hot seat. And if this team doesn't win, he's out the door too.
Well, I mean, the thing with them is they're a win-now team. That's one of the reasons you can't have Haskins start. It's probably one of the reasons why Gruden's not starting him is because, like, if he starts him, he's probably out the door if they don't do well this year. So right. For them, it's like you kind of have Haskins go in there. It wouldn't be the best decision. Now, of course, what he could do is have it be where Case is in there for a couple of weeks. If he doesn't do well, he can switch to Haskins and say, all right, listen, it's a rebuilding team. Give me another chance. Let me see how we do. But no, I think he's definitely. I think he's gone if they don't do well.
But where do you draw the line of of Keenum not doing well versus the team not doing well versus because I love my team, but sometimes our defense, as good as it is, will make silly mistakes.
Yeah.
And we will blow. We'll be doing really well, and then we'll blow an 80-yard touchdown throw or something crazy like that. And a lot of times our defense will let us down. So it's not always the offense. The offense will, put up those points. But if the defense isn't there to stop the other team and they just score more points for us, typically that's how you win games.
Yeah.
Is you score more points than the other team. And if you can't stop the other team from scoring points, you're kind of in a bind here. So, at what point is it that Keenum isn't doing well, or is it that the team isn't doing well, or, what is the breaking point here?
Yeah, no, you're right. So that I think is going to do it for us. Our 2019 NFL preview there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let us know what you guys are thinking in the comment section. Let us know your Super Bowl picks. Anything else you want to add here, Steve, before we wrap things up?
No, just as always, we'll see you real soon. Everybody have a magical week.
Yeah, and hopefully next week we'll do a little more of a preview of our food and wine a little bit more. We'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. And I know you recently signed up for a marathon that you were going to talk about.
Yeah. Yep. I got one coming up in January, so we'll see how that works.
Very cool. Very cool. That is going to do it for us today, guys. We will see you in the next video.